All right, everybody, we're all ready for session 2. So we're ready for fast, easy, and reliable testing of UI5 apps. And this will be presented by Nitish and Vaibhav. So I would like to give the floor to you guys and tell us everything about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I think the previous session already covered some aspects of the testing, how we can use UI5 to perform the testing. And that was also shared a bit in the keynote. We'll be taking a slightly different approach to sharing how the UI5 applications can be tested, especially in the integration end-to-end scenarios. So a quick introduction before we go ahead. My name is Nitish, and I'm the founder CEO of Cloud Integrator. We are an HR tech startup working primarily on solving enterprise integrations and helping customers in their digital transformation journey. Apart from that, we're also involved in a lot of custom developments, especially Fury and UI5.
Hi, everybody. I am Vaibhav Arora, and I am currently an engineer at Klarna. I've been an SAP developer back in India, and that's my love for OpenUI5 that brings me here on Valentine's Day for UI5Con.
Yeah. Great. So, thinking about application development.
So we will begin with the question: What is the worst nightmare of a developer? What is it according to you, Nitish?
Bad internet.
Sure, but do you remember that Friday evening deploy that you still regret till date?
Yeah, the last week one.
Of course. And do you also remember last Christmas Eve when you had to crawl into the basement of your parents' house using a slow internet to fix that issue in the production?
Not Christmas, but I do remember Diwali
Yes.
to happen that. So I think we're all guilty about skipping testing whenever it comes to any sort of application development, be it with UI5 or be it with other front-end technologies. Writing a test is always cumbersome, and it's on the very last thing on priority for any developer. But that lets us go into many issues. Something like this. We've all faced when we have the production application running and something weird happens right on the day of go live.
And we've all been there. I think it's the story of every developer in some way. We've made things that break. That's why it's called software. It's malleable. It can break. But it would be lovely if we could avoid situations like this.
In the end, everything works, but just in time. So just to avoid such things, I think we wanted to focus a bit about integration testing and how this can help us in the overall scenario and prepare us for much more reliable softwares and applications that we ship to different customers. So as we shared, we all know the testing is important, but nobody likes to do it. In one of our recent projects, when we were writing integration testing, we explored different tools to do it. Obviously, we have tools like Selenium, and recently we also have UI5, which is going really good and helps us write tests in a very easy manner. But considering our scenario, since our team works on different technologies, we have already used Cypress, which is an end-to-end integration testing framework. So we had used this for some other applications of ours, which were built on React, Node, and other things. And we decided to try the same for UI5. So yeah, this is what Cypress website really says. Fast, easy, and reliable testing for anything that runs in a browser. Some of the benefits that we encountered during our usage of Cypress, that it's very intuitive. It was really easy to ramp up. So developers working on different technologies could just pick it up in no time. It's really easy to debug. Everything runs in your developer tools or different browsers. So if you want to test it on Firefox or Chrome, you can just open the debugger tools and see what's really happening underneath. And it gives you a lot of additional things in terms of visualization. So it has really easy mechanisms to take screenshots of the tests that are running, record videos. So if something really fails, you'll have a video that tells your development team to really see how it really went about. Yeah. So I think without spending much time, we'll just dive into a live example. Another nightmare for any developer, live demo failing. But we're going to attempt that. OK, for the use case, what we'll be using is a small application that we built internally for our team, because we do a lot of OpenUI5 development, and we were not able to find any good mechanisms to maintain translations when we ship to customers across boundaries and geographies. So we built a mini application, which is a single one-page application that takes and asks you to upload an I18N properties file. So I'll just do a quick run out of it. What this does is it's completely working on the client side, where it interprets your keys, provides you with what are the text values that have been identified from here. If you want, you can, let's say, translate this into Dutch. And I'll be using some global APIs, which underneath use Google and others, to give me a quick translated application file. So we can always download it and work with it, or share it with a translation team or experts who can just verify, and during their run, instead of manually translating every time, they can just upload their existing file and work with it. So it's a simple application, and we'll be trying to write some end-to-end testing for this. OK, so what I have in my application repository is a simple web app that I think every one of us is familiar with. And on the root folder, I have an npm package, primarily so that we can do local development using Grunt. It's a very simple server that helps us run.
Increase the font size a bit.
Yeah, so I'm running the whole application in my local server, and it will work in the same manner as the one that I showed you on the hosted. So since we have the basic application running, what we'll try to do is maybe just open another terminal. And we'll be installing Cypress as a dependency to our npm package. So this installs the latest version of Cypress, ensures that all the required dependencies for it to run, the browsers and other things are available and downloaded. Once this is done, OK, I'll just also open the application. I hope it's visible now. Yeah. Great. So this will take a bit of time. It's installed Cypress as a local dependency. And we have, if we open our package JSON now, I hope so.
That's package JSON.
Oops.
Need a code dot here. OK. Yeah. So while it does the installation of the npm package, let's think about the things that we would want to test in such an application. So this is a very simple basic application where, first of all, I would need to test if the application even boots up. So visually, I will check for any of the elements. So what Cypress will do is it will open up our application the way it opens in a browser, and we can assert on certain conditions that some things do happen. So we can.
Yeah. So what we'll try to do is ensure that, okay, if we are able to see this text of our application header, it means that we have the application running. Post that, we'll try to do a file upload and see if the data is really working. Okay, so now we have it in the right directory.
And when we install Cypress, it comes with two things. One is a command line interface, and the other one is a tool, which is called Cypress tool, which is the fourth point that we said it helps us visualize our tests. So this tool basically opens a browser window where you can browse through the tests that you've written, and you can actually see them running in real time, and you can even go back and see at what step what happened, and it gives you a very nice preview. So what Nitish has written right now is npx open Cypress, which is npx Cypress open, which is a command that opens that tool. It takes a bit of a time in the initial run because he's just installed the package, and it's opening an entire new browser
So this
context.
command basically runs the node modules dependency of Cypress that we've installed, and it will run the command for opening it. As with all live demos, it's taking a lot longer than usual. All right. So what really happened, if you see, in our local directory first, we have a new folder for Cypress that contains 4 folders inside. Fixtures, which is a placeholder where you can keep mock data for your service requests that are going to come in. Integration, and it has examples of a lot of existing tests that have been created as examples that you can pick up certain things and work. And this is where we'll be putting all our tests. Plugins, I think, will not be relevant for this scope. And support is more for reusability in case there are certain commands we want to reuse across our test. Additionally, the open command opened this browser window through which I can actually run this example test. And you can see we can specify which browser that we want to run in. So let's just quickly run and create a new. So what we'll do is we'll just take the window test, cut out the things we don't need. So our application is running on localhost 1990.
And if you're familiar with the syntax of jest, it is very much the same here. So you define your test cases in it statements, and you have like describes where you can define a group of tests together.
Yeah. So what it is, I just create a simple test which say visit this particular website and verify that the website contains this text. And it will verify for the text anywhere across the whole application.
And it's important to know that it's not just checking that the text exists in the DOM. It's actually checking its CSS properties. So if the text is for some reason not visible due to some design change, we mess up something, we will get to know about that in this test. So one single line that says something should be visible means it should actually be visible on the browser.
Right. So this test, when I ran this, you can see the assertion was successful. And if I hover on it, it even points out to the UI element that we were trying to test. And it's a traversal of the whole thing. So just to build up, since we're sort of running out of time, I will try to write a couple of more tests. Yeah. So one of the tests is to test for this file upload button. We have given a custom data property to this, which we'll try to verify. And then we say use this ietname.properties from the fixtures. So let's just maintain the ietname file over there. Right. So,
remove only. You have to save the file.
oops. So I'm using it.only, which specifies that I'll only be running this particular test. This is useful if you're running multiple tests and making development activities. So if you look at the traversal of this text, it tried to find out the upload button. Then it verified, it performed the upload operation. Then it verified that does our application contain app description, which was one of the text available in that ITN file, and does it contain additional text over there. So this way we were actually able to perform the whole upload operation. If I just rerun it, we can see it visually running also. I also added one small command, cy.screenshot, just for a reference. And to show you what it does, in our Cypress folder, we now have, next to this particular application, a screenshot of the state of the application. So this is a very quick way to really create tests, record videos, and keep on performing integration tests. So you can mock servers, you can mock the API responses, and just continue.
One thing to mention is the fixtures folder that Nitish said is very important, because when we do UI integration tests, we should generally not worry about how network performs, because these tests can run on Jenkins pipeline, and the network is not trustworthy at every pipeline. So you should always mock all the network requests that happen out of your application that are needed, so that your tests are not like flaky. They always perform the same way, even without a good network.
Right. So there's a lot of documentation around Cypress being used by multiple frameworks and multiple teams for really large applications. And this is just some of the best practices we've encountered during our development, like not using wait for request. And also, we can test only the UI during the development activities if you're focusing on the UI integration test. Yes, I think in the interest of time, we'll just end it here. If there are any questions, we are available for follow-up questions around over here. Yeah.
What is the advantages of these tools in comparison to the native testing that is existing in UI5?
UI5 was something that came up after this. So I would say this is a much older application. And one of the scenarios in which it really helped us was, as I said, our application team works on different technologies. So the same scenario of testing will work if I'm developing a React application or an Angular application or a plain vanilla JavaScript-based application.
And also, the learning curve is very low. You just have to be familiar with a unit test format, and it's like writing code. It's very fun to write tests when you work with Cypress. That's our personal experience, and it makes things much more smoother as a developer experience.
And also the integration with the continuous integrations, be it your Jenkins pipeline and other things, that really was there existing. So I think with UI5, it's also being introduced, which will really benefit all of us going ahead. This is just something which was already there. Okay. Yeah. Anything else?
More questions?
Great.
Right. Perfect. Thank you, Nitish.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.